Disrespect never begins with a war cry. It starts small, a smirk, a sarcastic remark, a little test to see if you'll notice. Most people fail that test. They either laugh it off, giving silent permission, or explode in anger, showing they can be controlled. Both reactions are weakness. Machiavelli knew better. He understood that the way you respond to the first act of disrespect decides your fate in every act that follows. These are the 10 Machiavellian punishments that make people fear crossing you, not because you're loud, but because you're calculated. 1. Withdraw energy instantly. The first punishment is not rage. It's absence. Disrespect feeds on reaction, but the moment you go cold, you start the fire. Imagine someone makes a sly remark at your expense in a group. Most people would defend themselves, argue, or laugh nervously to save face. Not you. You simply withdraw your energy so sharply that the room feels it. Your laughter dies. Your warmth disappears. You look at them with a steady calm, and then move your attention elsewhere, as if they've been erased from your field of significance. Suddenly, everyone notices the shift. The one who disrespected you expected drama, expected noise. Instead, they're left standing alone in silence, exposed. That absence becomes heavier than any insult. It forces them to wonder, did I just lose my place? That's the first Machiavellian punishment. Not a strike, not a speech, just the weight of your sudden indifference. 2. Make them clarify themselves. The second punishment is surgical. You don't react emotionally. You make them explain themselves. When someone disrespects you, don't fire back. Ask calmly, was that meant to sound the way it did? Or would you like to stand by that? In an instant, the power shifts. Now they're on trial, not you. If they retreat and say, I didn't mean it like that, they admit weakness. If they double down, they reveal their hostility to everyone watching. Either way, you win. And the beauty is, you never raise your voice. You didn't insult them. You simply made them put their disrespect in the open air, where it smells rotten. This tactic is devastating because most people who disrespect aren't warriors, they're opportunists. They poke to see if you'll fold. But when you turn their poke into a public confession, you brand them with their own words. That's Machiavelli's genius, letting the opponent destroy themselves while you remain calm and untouched. 3. Redraw boundaries. Publicly, most people make the fatal error of forgiving quickly after being disrespected. They return to normal, laughing with the person, acting like nothing happened. This is weakness. Machiavelli teaches that the moment someone crosses the line, you redraw the relationship immediately, and you do it so the shift is visible. If they mock you in public, you become colder in public. Your tone sharpens. Your posture stiffens. You answer them formally, not casually. You no longer offer the same easy access. Everyone watching notices something has changed, and this change is louder than any argument. You don't need to announce the new line. You don't need a lecture. You simply live in it. Over time, people adjust. They speak more carefully around you. They measure their words because they've seen what happens when you're disrespected. The connection doesn't just bruise, it changes permanently. That's how boundaries are enforced, not with speeches, but with visible distance. 4. Use the power of disproportionate consequence. Fairness is forgettable. If you punish someone in exact proportion to their offense, they will forget it quickly. But if your response outweighs the offense, it becomes a story they never forget. That's the Machiavellian principle of disproportionate consequence. Let's say someone mocks you lightly in a group. Instead of a light response, you go cold for weeks. Instead of playful banter, you freeze them out completely. Suddenly, their small joke cost them an entire relationship. That story will replay in their mind every time they think of disrespecting you again. And others who witnessed it will also remember. The lesson spreads. Crossing you doesn't lead to a small sting. It leads to a devastating loss. This principle isn't about revenge. It's about building a reputation. Over time, your name becomes associated with sharp boundaries and heavy consequences. People begin to self-correct before they even speak. That's how legends of power are built, not on fairness, but on fear of consequence. 5. Control the room through framing. The provocateur is a special breed. They don't just disrespect, they feed on chaos. They want to drag you into an emotional battle. To fight them is to lose. Instead, you frame them. When they say something cutting, you don't argue, you hold a mirror. Calmly, you ask, do you speak like that in professional settings too? Or, I'm surprised you felt comfortable saying that out loud. You haven't insulted them. You've made the entire room see them as immature, insecure, or reckless. In one stroke, you've shifted the spotlight from you to them. Now the social weight is crushing them, not you. This tactic is Machiavellian because it uses the crowd as your weapon. You don't need to raise your voice because the room does the punishing for you. The provocateur's power dissolves the moment others see them clearly. And nothing shrinks a provocateur faster than being laughed at not as witty, but as weak. 6. Deny them your validation. The human ego survives on recognition. The cruelest punishment is not yelling. It's denying validation. After someone disrespects you, you respond with icy politeness. Short answers, minimal eye contact, no words. Your energy becomes mechanical, distant, unyielding. They may not admit it, but inside, the sting is unbearable. Because what they crave, more than victory, is your acknowledgement. When that acknowledgement disappears, they feel like they no longer exist in your world. This punishment is devastating because it attacks the core of human pride. We want to matter, especially to the people we once admired or envied. By denying validation, you turn their hunger against them. You make them chase approval they'll never regain. Over time, the realization cuts deep. Your attention was never a right. It was a gift, and gifts can be revoked. That's the Machiavellian strike. Not loud, but slow and suffocating. 7. Make their joke expensive. Mockery is a common form of disrespect. But instead of laughing or clapping back, you make their joke expensive. How? By refusing to give it oxygen. When they make a joke at your expense, don't smile, don't respond, don't even acknowledge it. Let the silence hang heavy. Suddenly, their joke isn't funny, it's awkward. The crowd feels uncomfortable, and that discomfort lands on them. Their attempt at humor has backfired. From then on, they'll think twice before trying again, because no one fears being insulted, but everyone fears being humiliated. The brilliance here is that you never lifted a finger. You didn't insult them. You didn't defend yourself. You simply let their words rot in the air until the stench was obvious to all. That's Machiavellian punishment at its finest. You don't swing the sword. They fall on it themselves. 8. Remove privileges. Quietly. Kindness, when misunderstood, is often taken for weakness. That's why when someone disrespects you, you don't argue. You subtract. You stop giving them what they once took for granted. Invitations vanish. Favors disappear. Conversations grow shorter. They find themselves outside of the circle they once enjoyed. And here's the cruel twist. You never announce it. You never explain. They only realize when the door is already closed. That uncertainty gnaws at them. Do they lose access because of that joke? Because of their tone? Because they crossed the line? The ambiguity makes the punishment heavier, because the imagination always fills in the blanks with worse scenarios than reality. This quiet exile is devastating because it makes them feel the loss of privilege, and privileges, once lost, are rarely returned. That's how you teach respect without raising your voice, by making them miss what they'll never get back. 9. Plant the seed of doubt. Fear doesn't come from what you do. It comes from what people think you might do. That's why the 9th Machiavellian punishment is doubt. You don't need threats. You don't need anger. All you need is one calm, heavy question. Are you sure you want to stand by that? That's it. That one sentence plants a seed that grows into a forest of uncertainty. Suddenly, they're replaying the moment in their mind. They wonder what you'll do next, how you'll retaliate, whether the consequence will come today, tomorrow, or in silence. This doubt is worse than any direct punishment because it never ends. Their imagination will torment them far more than your words ever could. Machiavelli understood this well. Control isn't about action, it's about perception. And when people fear what they can't see, you've already won. 10. Exile them without words. The final punishment is the deadliest. Exile. You don't argue. You don't forgive. You don't explain. You erase. Where there was warmth, there is now coldness. Where there was attention, there is now silence. You don't slam the door. You stop existing for them. To everyone else, you remain the same. But to them, you become absence. This is the most chilling punishment because it sends one undeniable message. You no longer exist in my world. And that message cuts deeper than any insult. People can argue with anger. They can fight against accusations. But they cannot fight against being erased. This is why exile is the Machiavellian endgame. It teaches the ultimate lesson. Respect is not a right. It is a privilege. And once revoked, it is never returned. Respect is never begged for. It's enforced. These 10 Machiavellian punishments are not about revenge. They're about discipline, image, and control. The more you master them, the less you'll ever need to raise your voice. People will think twice before crossing you, not because you threaten them, but because they fear losing their place in your world. If you want more strategies like this, subscribe now. Because power is never given. Power is taken.